Hey there, my name is Mike Koenigs, and welcome to Your Next Act, How to Create a Business You'll Love for the Rest of Your Life. If you haven't already downloaded this book, you can get it at paidforlife.com/free. Now, as entrepreneurs, you and I know that it takes a lot of work to communicate your ideas and launch a business or a product quickly and easily. And that's why my team and I have developed a framework and a system that will help you create a successful brand in just 3 days that can monetize immediately. By the way, this is a full system, step by step, and I'll be talking to you and showing you some proof and some results in a moment. Now, here's the most important thing. We've done this over 100 times over the past 5 years, and our record is we created a $35 million brand. In other words, they monetized $35 million less than 2 weeks after we launched it, and others have produced over $1 million in less than 100 days. So who's it for? So it's for founders, business owners who are typically in one or all three of these categories. You're either stuck or you're burned out. And as I like to say, you've outgrown who you are, what you do, why you do it, who you do it for. And you want to create a business that you love for the rest of your life. To do something that's new with more impact and more joy, where you're going to spend 99% of your time in your superpower, your unique ability, or your zone of genius, but you're not sure exactly what that is. So you're looking for clarity, and you want to find a team that can help you create something new, and you know it's either hard or impossible to find someone who takes the time to really understand or get you and can deliver results. So the second category is you're looking for a reinvention. That means you might love your current business and what you're doing, but you need an upgrade. You need better offers, higher ticket products, better customers and prospects, better positioning, packaging, and messaging and delivery, or you're ready for your next act. You've recently exited from your business, or you want to, and you want to prepare for that, but you need to find a team who can create all the stuff to get your next business idea off the ground quickly. You know it's hard, it's expensive, it's time consuming. So you're looking for a shortcut, and you know that having a strong personal brand will multiply the value of everything you touch for the rest of your life. I like to think of it like the Steve Jobs touch. He's been dead for 10 years, but Apple is still the most valuable company in the world. And love him or hate him, Elon Musk is a brand in himself. He can bring attention to anything. The bottom line is a strong personal brand means you and your businesses and every business you're involved with gets and remains relevant. You also want a high income, low overhead, high net lifestyle compatible business without all the complexities. Our system is a no homework, done with you interactive process that takes place at my beach condo in La Jolla Shores, California. That, by the way, is a picture right outside my door. So I'm going to show you right now what you get step by step and what we start with. So on day one, the first thing we do is what we call a category of one personal brand, and it's built on and around your genius. Some of the examples are The Lifestyle Investor with Justin Donald, Sell My Business, Aggregate, Rich.Life, Billion Dollar Exits. We also start and we create your perfect pitch. And this is happening in real time. My team and I are building these perfect looking pitch decks. You and I are role playing it together. And this is all happening in the background. Then on day two, we're working on the messaging, what we call positioning and credibility boosters. That's the messaging, the market, the delivery, and the sales process. So then in day three, we sit down in my studio, and I'm actually going to show you the studio right here really fast. You're going to be sitting across from me. This is the studio. You'll be in that seat over here with a branded background. I'll be over here talking on this camera, and we are actually producing content. So we're making interviews that are going to be turned into articles that'll be published in Entrepreneur, Forbes, Fast Company, Influencive, or Disrupt magazine. We're doing a podcast episode that gets delivered. So you are practicing and performing in the new identity of this brand. Trust me, it is very, very profound because all of that gets created in real time. This is a completely automated studio. It's quite exciting. Then we're building thought leadership, articles, and content. Why do we do this? Because we want to make sure that when people search for you and the brand, this is what they find. If you're not controlling the narrative, someone else is. So we're creating the articles and content. Sometimes that even evolves into a best-selling book like we did for Justin Donald. Then we build lead generation and collateral material. It means a website that's designed to capture leads and book conversations, collateral that overcomes sales objections. Then we work on a sales system and define and figure out exactly who your market is and how big they are. I've got professional data scrapers who will identify them and actually build the list of all of your ideal clients to market to. And then we look at the business model and the delivery. I've never met a business that couldn't be simplified, that couldn't be made more efficient and more profitable. We work on that, but also looking at how it gets delivered. And then finally, I open up my Rolodex and I will start creating referrals, connections, and introducing you to who do things that maybe we don't do. That is the core part of what happens in the beginning. In a moment, I'm going to go through a couple examples, but there is something else that's really important. It's this. This is an example of a document. Now, I'm not going to show you the finer details because this is a real life document for one of the people we created the $35 million brand for, but we're building the equivalent of a manual for the new business in real time. Everything we do is captured and transcribed, captured with video, and we're writing campaigns, articles, scripts. We are working on imagery that's going to be used online and then building the sales and training decks. Now, what's great about this is if you end up working with an agency later on, they've got everything they need that normally takes them 9 to 12 months to build themselves, and it's all in one place. Here on the right, you can see this is a 127-page document, and every single thing we ever have is documented. This is highly unusual. Now you're probably wondering, well, what's the proof that this thing works? What are some examples of real people that you've done this for? As I mentioned, we've done this now for over 100 different businesses, and our goal is always to launch something that makes money immediately. In some cases, people are booking deals while we're together. Here are some real life examples of what we've done. This is Influencive, what we did with Chuck Boyce. We built a new brand. We call it Aggregate, $35 million deal in 2 weeks. I actually introduced him to the guy who got the deal. He was someone in my network. They anticipate doing $100 million in the first 12 months. And here's a little bit of proof, a little capture after he had closed the $35 million deal. This is our category of one brand that we created for Justin Donald. That included writing a book and becoming a best-selling author on Wall Street Journal, USA Today. He right now has 150 people paying him $50,000 for a mastermind that includes syndicated investment opportunities, a $250,000 mentoring and coach program. So he went from $0 to $1 million in less than 8 months, actually $500,000 within a couple weeks, $5.5 million in less than 20 months. This year, over $7.5 million. There's also been a 10x increase in his net worth, a 9-figure net worth, because when you have a strong personal brand, everything you touch is worth more. This is Connie Whittick. We created a brand called The Art of Living Young, and we repositioned her as the authority in elder living. We added $6 million to her $1.5 million business in less than 90 days by repositioning her, changing the conversation, accessing new customers, and no longer taking a backseat to architects and builders who previously were feeding her the business. We just changed her approach, positioning, and messaging. This is one of our funnest ones. We created a one-man comedy show for a guy named Charlie Epstein. So before he was America's 401k coach, spent over 40 years as a financial advisor, but we created a show called Yielded Dreams, and now he's the only one-man show by a financial advisor in the world. 2 performances generated 12 months worth of revenue in 60 days. He has a 30-city tour planned for 2023, and he's currently pitching a reality show in Hollywood. And he also sold his business for 8 figures, which is pretty sexy. That's Charlie Epstein, one of the funniest and funnest guys I've ever worked with. And you can see examples of the deck that we built for him that tells his story to partners. You can see everyone around. His wife was making $200,000 and some thousand, $300,000 some thousand. Here she did almost $1.2 million. Here's another one. When they did their second show, they put over $2 million in the pipeline plus closed $500,000 worth of business. And this is his way of doing a partnership with other financial advisors. They invite their prospects and customers to the show, and then he does a revenue share with them. And they're doing this multi-city tour. The point of this is I wanted to show you some examples of some of the decks that we create in a short period of time. Here's another brand, $1 billion exits. He's using a model, using a $50,000 to $100,000 workshop. I featured him in one of my podcasts. He generated 24 leads in 48 hours, and he got his first $75,000 client from my audience. And he's got multiple ways of making money as well. Here's an example of what his website looks like. and a little bit of social proof after he had just closed a $75,000 deal. This is another one, Joey Osborne's Sell My Business. We came up with a business model for a guy who had sold his franchise company to private equity, and now he helps franchise companies sell to private equity. And there's a lot of ways he gets paid. Here you can see some of the examples of the sales collateral and marketing collateral we built for him. This is a business that we took from a service business, turned it into a SaaS business, also just selling training. It gives them the ability to get acquired at some point in the future. This is another one, Michael Chu. He had been selling a $20,000 program. We created a $50,000 offer, and he ended up closing not just $960,000 on stage, but over $1.2 million in a week following that. And that all happened because we spent 3 days together. And here's again a little bit of social proof. Something that people often say to me is, Mike, this is great, but how is this possible? How can you do all this stuff in less than a week? And I like to say, what matters most is how you're packaged and how you're positioned. And what Joey said, most companies have steak but no sizzle. They're just boring. We can take a boring business and make it interesting and more relevant. And that will be the highest ROI investment, just by changing the story and making you look a lot better. Can happen in a short period of time or start from scratch as well. So it's something I'm most proud of that we're able to do. Right now, you're probably wondering, who is a right fit for this? Will it work for me? And will it work for my business? Or I don't even know what I want to do. So I'm going to go through what we call the perfect who we want to be a hero to. I'm showing this to you in all transparency so you know one of the things that we're going to do with you. First of all, you're a visionary entrepreneur. You're an owner, founder, CEO, partner, which means you're a check writer and a decision maker. You have a B2B business. We'll do B2C occasionally. The but is they're not as interesting or fun, because I like taking businesses that are selling $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 offers and creating 10x offers, even when you don't think that's possible. Or you've had a recent exit, you want to exit, and you want to reinvent and create your next act, the business you'll love for the rest of your life. You're cash confident. I like to say you have more money than time. You've reached that point where it isn't about the money to you, it's about the impact and also the lifestyle. You need to have proven successes, transformations, testimonials, and social proof. I won't work with someone who hasn't done it before, or you're not an entrepreneur, you haven't had a real business, unless I know for a fact that you've got a guaranteed customer base we can go after. It's just too much of a noodle to push up the mountain. You have a history of being coachable and coached. And it also means you're a belonger. You belong to other groups like YPO, EO, Vistage, Strategic Coach. Why does this matter? Because I don't have to convince you that being coached and having a coach can 10x your value very, very quickly. You also know that having a message, wanting to be a trusted authority, and knowing that being relevant and having a strong business-to-consumer brand will boost value and pricing for the rest of your life. And you already speak or you want to speak. You've written a book or you want to write a book. You want to do a TED Talk or a TEDx talk or have a podcast or perform on them. In other words, being out there matters. If I have to convince you that getting out publicly will increase your value, I just don't want to spend my time convincing you of that. You got to come to me ready cooked. You're willing to experiment, iterate, and test to find breakthroughs. Why is Elon at any given time probably or close to the most wealthy person in the world? Love him or hate him, he's not afraid to blow up rockets to get to Mars. If you know your Colby score, you're most likely a Colby Quick Start 8 through 10, not a fact finder. What does that mean? If you're the type of person who has to think about it and talk to me 10 times to make a decision, or talk to someone and get permission from someone, I ain't your guy. You're either watching this and you're like, I'm in, I want this, let's chat, and I've got a couple questions for you. You're the right person for this. But if you're a slow starter, you got to ask a million questions, not my guy, not my person. I love you, but you're probably better off being an operator in a company, not a leader. Here's the bottom line. This is all about creating a business you'll love for the rest of your life. If you want more, you want to book a conversation, you can either send an email to vip@paidforlife.com right now. You go to paidforlife.com/go. That's likely where you're watching this, and just click book a conversation. There's never any pressure. There are no games we're going to play. We will tell you the truth if we know for a fact that we can do something with you and deliver results. I like to say we have a perfect reputation. I intend to keep it that way. I don't need your money. I do this because I love to do it, and I only work with people I love on businesses I love. I also like to say you're worth it. and we're worth it. So if you want to work with the best in the world at what they do and become the best or the only in the world at what you do, we're the people you want to work with. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me today. The next step is yours to take. I'm looking forward to meeting you, working with you, and helping you create a business you'll love for the rest of your life and your next act. All right, bye-bye.